Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen here with Rita Giganti and Linda Armstrong. Today is Friday, April the 17th, 2020. It's 4 p.m. New York time. And wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And we're happily taking on our week of staying away from talking a whole lot about the coronavirus and moving on to, well, feeling good stuff. And to kind of crown what we've been talking about this week, Linda and Rita have come up with the crowning topic, which is the Great Awakening, which is something we've kind of hinted at in the past. But I'm kind of looking forward to see what you guys have to say about this, because, I mean, we all kind of want to know what's going to happen with this. I mean, what's going to be the outcome? Where's this all going to lead to? We've hinted at it, right? We've talked about, well, some good stuff always comes out of really trying circumstances. We don't necessarily know what it's going to be, but I'm curious. Do you guys have any clues about what it's going to be? What's it going to be? I'm curious.
It's going to be like heaven merged with earth. Yeah, it's going to be, where it's going to take some time, but that's what we're striving for. And if enough of us, and we've said this in the past, if enough of us can raise our consciousness and get into a place of harmony with one another. And also, this is really the dawn of the feminine energies coming in, because we've been ruled for the most part by the masculine energy. And we've now needed to shift that and become more equal in that area. And we have feminine, masculine energy in all of us, right?
Right, but what does that mean? Let's be more specific. When we say masculine energy, feminine energy, what are we talking about?
We're talking about both aspects that make a human who they are. Both aspects. You need both those aspects, and the same for God. People usually refer to God as a masculine energy, right? A masculine force.
Okay.
But really, God is Mother, God, Spirit, right? It's the combining of and the harmony of the masculine side of things or energy and the feminine side. And then the spirit is ultimately who you are, because most people know, and if you don't know, we're humans experiencing a human body, but we're really spirits. We're souls. We leave these bodies at some point and we become energy again. So this whole, what I think most people may not understand what happened.
Oh, we got some guest going on here.
We need everybody to mute themselves if they're joining on.
These are people kind of attacking the program, so I'm going to see if I can do some removals here.
I'm sorry.
Walt, you should be able to mute.
Listen.
I'm working on. There's quite a few of them.
I love America. Yeah.
That's really strange.
Well, I up until now I have not been requiring that that we use passwords or that we mute people automatically coming into the room, but I may have to start doing that just because there are people out there who are not high vibration, let's put them that way.
But they have to have the Zoom link. So how do they get the Zoom link?
Well, it's not that hard to get, to be perfectly honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll just want to add.
Go ahead, honey.
I was just going to add to what Rita was saying. For some people, it might not get the grasp of male-female energy. It's the yin and the yang, the hard and the soft. It's like both aspects of ourselves. If you don't look at it as a sex, male, female, like a man or a woman, but look at it as an energy. And I am a woman. I had very much more male energy for a long time. Women were afraid of me. Why? I don't know. Karate, I was very much in my ego. It was very strong. So I could see how they could do that, but it wasn't the truth to me, but it was this energy that was coming out. And really through the work I'm doing now, Rita, over these past, 9-10 years, I balanced that energy. I can call it in if I need it, but I don't have to be always in that stronger male energy that get things done, take action now. That leaves me unreceptive, not the receiver of like a lot of good things that can come to me. So that's that balancing, right? Male, female.
Yes.
Yeah.
Growing up in my house, I had noticed at a very young age that the masculine energy was who got things done, who kind of ruled, you know, the family, so to speak. So I took on a lot of that male energy because I thought that was the right thing to do. And it took me many years of, you know, my work. And then finally, and for those who don't know my wife, she's she's of that feminine energy. And her coming into my life actually helped me, you know, shift my own feminine energy to bring that more to the surface, a softer side, even though, like you said, you weren't that, but everybody perceived you that way because you had more of that masculine energy to you.
Right.
So I
and they,
totally
and they could
understand.
feel it. I mean, people thought I was taller than I am. They thought I
Yeah,
was like 5'8". I'm like, well, I'm 5'5" and a half, you know, I mean, like I'm not 5'8".
yeah,
But it was the energy that they
Yep.
that they perceived. Because
absolutely.
everything's energy.
Everything's energy, yes. And so even what is happening now with all that we're experiencing, it's all having to do with energy. And I think everybody needs to understand that aspect. We're in a great time of change. For those of you who aren't aware of that, this is just at this point for us, for me, you, Linda, and Walt, this is just a matter of fact. We know we're in a great deal of change right now. And some of it is extremely uncomfortable. And some of it, you know, I like, because there are days where I'm like, this is the best thing that could have happened, because if we didn't have this, we wouldn't be going to be experiencing other things that are good from this. All the compassion now that's coming out from people, all the love, this is what's changing the earth every second of the day moving forward ever since this happened. Other things will be connecting to higher vibrations because there are other beings helping us from the other side. There's so much good that's coming. I want to focus more on the good than I want to focus on what's making everybody a little bit crazy because they're in their houses for like a month now. So did you guys want to start anywhere in particular, or?
Not really. I just wanted to explore the topic because I think it's a great topic, and I like what you guys have been saying so far. It also strikes me. I mean, it's not terribly pleasant to have your show bombed by a bunch of people dropping in. But on the other hand, the first thought that came to my mind is, wow, we have pretty high energy. We're just drawing them in. So
Well,
we may actually have people here who need to hear what we're saying. There may actually be some value going on there.
Well, absolutely, absolutely. And sometimes I've noticed too, when you want to when you have that high vibration, you want to tell people like all this good stuff, the lower vibrations all of a sudden will want to, kind of pull that and take that away from you.
Yeah.
And we're just going to plow forward,
Right.
because everybody needs to hear this. So it's good.
Yeah, it's almost like, I'm going to interject right there, that
Please.
even this virus is like another last attempt to try to keep us down, to hold us back from our truth, from really stepping into that higher vibe and going along with the changes of the planet as they occur. We mentioned, you asked before, what's the good thing going to come from this? And this is a bit of a leap, but I'm sure we'll get through this with our conversation today. But things you can look forward to is telepathy, which of course is already raising. People are becoming more and more psychic and more able to feel and sense energy. And it's going to get to the point where we don't even need to speak with our voice because we can understand each other. Like, that's what's supposedly coming in the future. I feel like it's very real. And even like being able to, what's it called? Float. What's that called?
Oh, I see what you mean. Like,
levitation.
Levitation.
Yeah. Right. Like, because energy is going to be different. We're not going to be so locked into thinking it could only be one thing. Like, all the possibilities start to open for us. Mm-hmm. And abundance is just everywhere. And the monetary system changes and all that. And that money system thing supposedly could be changing sooner than we think.
That I agree with you 100% on. It has
Yeah.
to. We
Yeah.
can't, we're no longer living in that energy anymore. And the reason why we're struggling, I really feel the reason why we're struggling as a collective, as a people, is because we've talked about this before. There's, we came from the third dimension, which is a very, very lower vibration, right? More of a lower vibrational energy. And in that energy, we have greed and suppression and jealousy and fear and anxiety and you name it. All the negative aspects of us are in that dimension. But now, because enough of us have shifted consciously to a higher vibration, we're wanting now to go into more of the fourth and the fifth dimension, which is more about unconditional love, compassion, patience, honesty, truth, equality, across the board, all the positive aspects. Again, we talk about the yin and the yang, right? So because there are some people who are kind of stuck in this third dimensional reality, they don't want to move up in vibration. They like it the way it is. They have all their money, they have their greed, they don't want it to change. They're stuck in that. So enough of us are saying, oh no, we're going in this direction now because we can't sustain this anymore. Because if we keep going like this, we're going to destroy ourselves. Okay. And at this point, we've made it past that, and I'm going to go back a little bit. We've made it past that 2012 mark, which was the deciding factor of whether we were going to stay and do this, or we were going to off ourselves and say, let's start all over because this is too much now. So we're at that point, and it only took about 70,000 people to become awakened and enlightened to do that. Okay.
Yeah, Rita, I want you to dive into that, but also maybe add in a bit about I've heard it to be 25 something thousand year cycle. You mentioned 24,000 year cycle.
Yeah, everybody's a little bit different. Yep.
Okay.
So, but let me back up a second. Does anybody have any questions so far or comments before I go further?
Let's see. We've had quite a bit of conversation about our visitors there for a few moments. Let's see. Madonna Kelly said, keep your eyes open. Don't let the evil people fool you. I think they're pretty easy to spot. That was pretty clear from our little experience. It wasn't hard to identify them.
Right.
Jeffrey was saying the muses are present for creative spirits whispering in our ears, keep creating beautiful things. And then he raises a question, what world do we want to create? The more we talk about that, the more possible and probable it becomes.
And that's a good thing that he brought up, because we begin with possibilities, right? And then our actions decide probabilities. The things we do, the law of cause and effect is going to create what's going to be the outcome. What do we want to create, right now? And enough of us have spoken on this earth to say, we don't want to stay here anymore. We don't want to live like this any longer. But let's back up a little bit, because right now there's and you may have heard these terms, people may have heard these terms, the golden age of movement, or the harmonic convergence, or the awakening, or the ascension, right? And these are certain terms that have been with us, all the way back to like 87 is when everybody first kind of became aware of these terms and what was to come in the future. Now, Linda, when you said, Earth works as like a cycle, a cycle. So everything's in cycles. So some people will say, well, it's a 24,000 year cycle. Other people will go by the Mayan calendar, right? Which was like 5,100 something years. It really doesn't matter which one you subscribe to. What matters is that we're all going towards the same place. This is the same place that's called enlightenment. Okay. This is the same place where we call unconditional love, where all of humanity is working with each other to strive for better, to help each other. Okay. We're losing the greed. We're losing the jealousy and the hoarding of the monies, and all of that system has to break down at this point, because We can't sustain it any longer. And Mother Earth is showing us that. Okay. And this virus is just a lesson in all of this. That's all this is. Okay. I want people to see it as not, I've had so many people ask me, why is God allowing this to happen? And this has nothing to do with that. Absolutely nothing to do with God, so to speak. This has to do with things that we have, how do I want to put it? I lost my thought for a second. It's like we created this because we made certain choices here that created more of a lower vibration, which then led to these circumstances. This has nothing to do with God saying, here, have this. It's the law of cause effect. What you do comes back, right? You do good, good comes back. You don't, shit comes back. That's just the bottom line. Okay, so I want to make that clear to people that we're not being punished here. This is not about being punished. All right, so.
Can I also throw something else in too?
Sure.
Because you've made a couple of references to the need for the money system to change. And
yes,
that's actually something that I want to address much more from the mundane aspect than from the energy aspect, because I think it's going to tie in. It's actually a long-term interest of mine. Long before I became involved in law of attraction, I was very interested in the monetary system and how it worked, which is pretty unusual because most people, you start talking about monetary system and the eyes roll back in the head and they start to fall asleep because they have no idea what you're talking about. But it was an interest of mine, so I pursued it. And up until the time of the financial crisis in 2008, I held, I won't say it was a mainstream view, but I certainly understood the mainstream view and I was conversant with it. I could, talk to people about it and so forth. And part of that view was, I guess I'll describe it as a view regarding the need for a limitation on how big the money supply is going to be. And I won't go into all the reasons why that has to be true and all that. That's simply what we were dealing with. And I believed that that was going to continue because the marketplace was so committed to it. This was just like a big, big deal. And then a very interesting thing happened in 2008. Won't go over all the details. I mean, we all kind of remember how painful it was and so forth. But one of the big things that happened, people will remember the phrase, the banks and corporations that were too big to fail. And what that was all about was there were these very, very large entities that the powers that be were afraid if those large entities fell, that the whole system would fall apart. So they did something completely unprecedented. They did something that in monetary circles we call monetizing the debt. And I won't go into what all the details of what that is, but essentially it was a way of taking the bad money and replacing it with good money in a way that the market would not previously have ever accepted. And then the market did something really, really interesting. It accepted it. In fact, not only did it accept it, it went on this huge buying spree, driving the market up over the next 12 years to record levels. So basically, the marketplace, the free marketplace, did a 180-degree about face on something that economists had been saying for years would not happen.
Right.
And that was my first clue. In fact, I just really kind of consciously noticed this and had a conversation with Bill G, who used to be a co-host here on the show, who was also a co-host of mine on a previous podcast I did about the monetary system. So he and I both know this topic really well. And we were talking about this and we were saying, that really is interesting. We kind of all missed that this thing was going on. I mean, we all knew about it, but we missed the significance of it, that there was a big shift that took place. Now, I've also said in the past, and again, I don't even know where this came from when I first said it, I knew that money was going to be different within the next 10 years, completely different from what we had known previously. And at the time I said that, I said, I can't tell you how that's going to be. I don't know how that's going to be. I just have this really strong feeling that's coming through. Well, now I'm getting a better idea of it. And what it's going to amount to is most of the rules of money and money supply and how it works are going to shift very substantially and probably within that 10-year period, maybe even faster than that, to the point where 10 years from now, when we look back, we're going to say, wow, we really thought of money that way. It'll be that big of a deal.
It's probably going to come sooner than that.
Okay.
Because this will probably, this decade will be the decade that changes everything. For sure. And probably then I'm gonna give it a span of about 15 years where we come to the complete change.
Okay.
On where we were, 24,000 years ago, we cycled. Now, in that cycle, just so you know, we've gone up in consciousness and we've come down in consciousness, right?
Mhm.
The difference between now and then is that we're choosing now to keep going up.
Mm. Mhm.
There will be there doesn't seem to be a need anymore to go down. Okay. Whereas we wanted to learn from each aspect of ourselves, the God self, we'll call ourselves, right? Because we're all an aspect of God. We're at that point where we're ready to just keep going up at this.
Mhm.
We're not wanting to go down. So the next 15 years are going to be incredibly, I want to say, there will be challenges. There will be a lot of challenges, but depending on how we move through it and decisions we make about it, that's what's going to make it easier or not so easy.
Mm.
Okay. But I guarantee you what comes of it is going to be amazing. Amazing. Okay. So this did start though in our lifetime, I want to say, around between 1987 to 89, like August of 87, the planets aligned in a certain way where they called it the harmonic convergence. And it set us up for the energy that is happening now.
Mhm.
And that, talking 1987, I mean, I graduated in 85 high school. 2 years later, we had this harmonic convergence. And at that time, I knew instinctively and spiritually that things were changing and that I needed to be a part of that. I just didn't know how. Okay. So anybody who wanted to be more aware, enlightened, all of that was being brought to that place. And back then it was a little bit slower. Like now people are being upgraded, uploaded, I want to call it, or downloaded information from spirit almost instantaneously now. Like there's no, if people say to spirit, okay, I'm jumping on the bandwagon, I want to do this, I want to help the world change. Oh, spirit says, let's go. We can do this in like 5 minutes.
Right.
They give you some downloads. For me, it took many years to get to that place. Now, even when I want to go deeper, it's a matter of milliseconds because they need more people, like-minded people to gather to do this stuff. So
Mhm.
now back in 87, when this happened, in 89, the harmonic convergence, it was like 144,000 people converging and meditating and praying and all in one at the same time, which dramatically lifted the energy of the earth. Dramatically. Remember, I said it only took about 70,000 to change it, right? Double that now. So this was an incredible manifestation on the earth plane, which we've never, ever witnessed before. Okay. Which then brought us to 2012, right? That was the next time you heard people go, God, this is like unbelievable. The earth is changing. Humans knew we needed to be a certain level of consciousness to change for good, right? Comes 2012, again, 70,000 people. That's all we needed. We got that. We changed it. So we could have destroyed ourselves. Instead, we said, no, we're going the long haul here. Okay. Now more and more people started to open up to this. Now now more psychics were coming out, more people that could talk to the other side. It was being more accepted at that point, right? So there was Reiki, there was chakra balancing, there was, all these modalities that started to come to the forefront. And even doctors couldn't deny what was happening, how this was helping people, right? Because I've always been one for let's merge the medical with the metaphysical. Let's not just use one, let's use all of it so we can heal the body, mind, and the spirit
Sure.
all at once, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So now, after 2012, there was a lot of people thought, oh, well, we're in bliss now. Everything's going to change. And oh, no, that's not how it happens. We just got enough people to say, we're going to make the change now. And we're going to continue to make the change over the next, I'm going to predict maybe 2000, 30 to 35 is when most of the changes are going to happen, and then you're going to see the major shift that we're looking at here. Okay. So, and stop me if you want to interject, Linda, or anything, because
well, before we go further into what you're going to bring up, what came to my mind before is, you know, the level of consciousness changing, and then the people waking up and shifting out of these lower vibes to a higher vibe, right? Because
right.
and a lot of these, and a lot of things that have happened that were horrible have caused us to come together more and to be able to open our hearts and to be
Right.
able to look at people in a different way. Like, you know, okay, there is still racism, but it's not like it used to be, right? There's still haters for the gay lesbian crowd, but there's more compassion now than there was. I see a huge difference. It's like no big deal. We're all allowed to love, right?
Yeah.
So those are just the two things that popped out right away. I'm sure there's so many more of these types of things that used to be, you know, like, I don't know, people having kids out of wedlock or whatever, however you want to look at it. There's so many different things. Right. Now I feel a lot of people will go to their hearts first and say, hey, you know, what, we're going to deny those people to love or those people to live this, like we're being able to have more choice, I think, overall, as to how more freedom to live our lives the way we want to live it, and more of a group understanding, love, compassion, because really we want to move away from judgment and fear and all of that, and be able to go, like, that's what's happening. I feel like that fearful stuff, or those things that cause those lower energies, they're losing their grasp.
Oh, they're losing their grip big time.
Yeah,
big time. And so things, you know, man-made things then will start to happen to try and keep the light from getting too close, so that they can still rule over the, you know, over the earth. And it's just not going to happen this time. We're gonna get through it. We're gonna get past it, and we are going to succeed. But here's the thing also, I don't want people to think that they have to be, you know, to go through these changes. You can go through them in a very harmonious way, or you can go through them in a very disharmonious way. And it's, again, what you were saying, that's choice. People just need to choose how they want to move through it. So this happening now, how do you want to move through this? By complaining every day that we have to stay in and social distance, or get on a podcast, or get on Facebook, or do something to help lift the spirits of people? That's what I mean by choice, right? Because although we're going to go through all these challenges, even with all the challenges, we could make it a better place. And guess what? If we raise the consciousness enough, we may not have to go through all the challenges.
Yeah,
that's the bottom line.
I just want to add to that too. Like, so if this virus was man-made and deliberately put out there, it's not having the effect that those minds wanted it to have, because instead it's bringing us more together into this energy of compassion and finding new ways of being and living. It's allowing us to release these lower energies, because I know I have things popping up. I'm like, where'd that come from? And clear it, to let go of it during this time where you just have to be with yourself. There was one more thing I wanted to say, but I forgot what it was, and I'm sure it'll come back.
I know there's so much to say, and that's what happens.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it just flies in and flies out.
Yeah.
So Walt, what's your thoughts now?
Oh, I've got all kinds of things going through my mind. First of all, excitement. One of the things that flitted through my mind while you were talking about how it doesn't take a whole lot for stuff to happen is, I was watching an Abraham Hicks video from just a few days ago, because they're doing, now that everybody's in home confinement, they're doing their stuff from Esther's home.
Right.
And in the course of the one that I was watching, she made reference to the power of the individual who's in alignment. And she said, the person who's in alignment is more powerful than millions who are out of alignment. And, and that's really quite a strong statement to make. One person in alignment is as powerful or more powerful than millions who are out of alignment, which really goes to prove it doesn't take a lot. One person can have a huge impact just by getting themselves into alignment and staying there.
how many millions do we have in the world? I don't even know how many.
Just
And
under 8 billion.
8 billion.
8
And it
billion.
only took 70,000
Yeah.
to make that shift. I mean, it's the drop in the bucket. That's what I'm trying to say. We could, all the stuff, the trying stuff that's coming and happening has to happen for a great reason. In order for us to change, things have to be dismantled and put back together differently again. And that's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that. We need to look at this as a positive, because the systems that we're living in now aren't working. They're only working for choice few. If you understand what I mean, the top 1%, that's it. The rest of us are all, living the way we need to live, but you can't work like that. We all have to have equality here.
And
Everybody,
it's fair to point out too.
There should be enough food, enough everything for everyone. Not that they, absolutely, 100%. And we also talk about, people who have a certain consciousness of the way they think, like if they're in that poverty consciousness, right? And they stay there, then that's what they bring to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So somehow they need to shift that consciousness to a higher vibration so they don't think that, oh, I have to live in lack for the rest of my life because my whole family did. So that means I have to. They become the victim and the martyr. I'm trying to pull people out of that and say, no, we all deserve everything here, like everyone else, and be able to afford it.
Yeah, what you're describing there is you're basically describing how the shift is taking place, which is great, and I'm loving that. I want to interject one point, which is, yes, a lot of people have been living in a variety of positions of lack, and to be perfectly honest, that has served them in many ways. I'm not saying it served them in a way that I would necessarily like or that you would necessarily like, but it has served. I mean, there are reasons why people continue to make choices that put themselves into a bad place because they get something out of it. What I think is really cool that is likely to happen here, especially based on what you guys are talking about, is I see it transitioning so that people are going to start deciding they don't want to make those same goals anymore. Not the choices, although the choices are part of it too. The goal setting is going to become different. It's going to become, I'm no longer willing to settle for that low energy stuff anymore. I want something that feels better now. And as soon as that happens, now you got 3-step to 5-step process, depending on how you want to label it.
Sure.
Really kicking into gear. Talk about rockets of desire. I mean, it's going to be busy out there in outer space, let me tell you.
Well, that kind of touches on the fact that we choose, we are the creators of everything in our existence. And so you said that serves a purpose for them to live a certain way, like in a lower, what we would consider a lower energy, a lower vibe.
Yeah.
Because maybe some people choose to be the martyr. And so they're going to create everything in order to be that energy because they haven't learned that they could be something else whatever it is that's forcing that to be for them. They're getting something out of it. Rita and I want to help these people to not choose that and to choose something else, because you have the power to do that. But I wanted to go back to the group meditation thing and the effect when a lot of people come together. So there was one, I forget the date. I did it on David Wilcox's channel where he did a group and he had live that night, like 30,000 people. And there were like 5 other known people that I know of doing it that had their own from 10 to 30,000 people doing it. So easily there was 100,000 or more at the very same time doing some sort of a meditation that was led for this same purpose.
Right.
So, and that has an effect. And one other thing about that, because then I want to get back to all the stuff Rita's got written down over there to talk about. I want to go deeper and we want to get juicier. But, now I forgot what I was going to say, but it'll come back.
You see how that happens?
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
Okay, that's all right.
Well, actually, I had to do with it. Oh, yeah, I know what it was.
Here we go. Okay.
Definitely. I mean, just in the time that I've been doing this work, and I was called to it around 2011. That's when I had a rotator cuff tear and I healed it myself through meditation. That started this whole different journey of me in this world, right in time for the 2012 and all of that kind of stuff. And even though I've always been kind of a part of this world, I wasn't as active as I am now, right? But what I notice is I don't worry about anything I say to anybody about all this metaphysical stuff, because I at least because energetically I don't come to the people who think I'm out of my mind, or I just notice that people who never even considered it, it opens them up and they're like, wow, tell me more. So 20 years ago, that wouldn't have been the case.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. 20 years ago, no psychics, no, now all of this has come to the surface more and more. And there always are people who lead the way to that, which we need to thank, because they were the ones who came before us who now could, open the path for us, and we will be opening the path for others. But lost my thought for a second.
Well, let me interject a second while you're getting your thought back there, because you mentioned gratitude and appreciation.
Yeah.
There's been lately in the broader physical world, there's been a lot of emphasis on thanking caregivers, thanking people who work in supermarkets, thanking all the people who are helping people continue to live while this whole thing goes on, and which is great. I love that they're doing that. But the thought that kept going through my mind was, I wonder if they understand that when they're thanking people, when they're expressing gratitude, they're actually helping themselves more than they're helping the other person. I wonder if they understand that. They may not, and it doesn't really matter.
Right.
That's just kind of one of those things that we know about in the background. But I just kind of wonder, are they getting that part?
I think when you, it feels good to be in gratitude. It changes your whole mood. So I think people who are starting to become aware will become aware of that piece as well.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a beautiful thing. And the more you can be in gratitude and thankful, it connects to God, that source energy, which then, just goes and goes and goes around the earth. It just multiplies. The more you can do it, I think the better it is. I'm curious to know if there's anybody asking questions or want to.
They're sharing a lot of very interesting stuff. Nobody's really asking questions, but like, for instance, your friend Donna said, change is ever evolving. If we stop as soon as one positive change occurs, the expansion of more positive changes halts. So it's important to make strides every day.
Right.
Jeffrey was saying, I want us all to remember to continue to laugh and to have fun. Joy is still the best place to create from. And Josephine was saying, Gary Zukov in Spiritual Partnership says multisensory humans are able to see why so many actions produce consequences that appear to be unintended. They are not actually unintended.
Yeah.
Before we go on, I want to bring up, because Rita was just mentioning how people have sort of paved the way before us, right? And immediately who popped in my head was Louise Hay, because she started out just by helping people who had AIDS. Nobody was helping people who had AIDS, but she was out there helping it, where maybe the group think at that time was, this is some sort of a punishment for living that lifestyle.
That's right.
But she did all that work to help these people and to really shift the energy around that, which, I don't think now majority of people don't have that outlook anymore. Now it's just compassion and love, and how can we help this person?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's where we're moving towards. Everybody that's going to have a purpose here, moving forward, it's going to be about, how can I help my fellow man, woman, how can I help them while helping yourself? Because that's what happens automatically. You help someone, it comes back to you tenfold, right? But here's the thing, helping someone not expecting anything in return. That's the key. You want to help someone, but have no expectation of anything in return. Just giving from your heart.
You know what? I love synchronicity, because I just shot a video today. I didn't even edit it yet. And I started talking about that whole thing, how we just help everybody's a light worker, whether they know it or not. And anything you do that helps someone else is putting more light out into the world. So I started talking about that and mentioning how with the work that I do, if I'm helping someone, even if I don't have that particular problem that they have that I'm helping them through, it's helping me by helping them, because of course everything's a mirror. We're all connected in one way or another. So you just could never go wrong by helping somebody, because even if you don't see how it connects to you, how it actually helps you, besides filling your heart up with love, it actually helps you.
Yeah.
you grow as they grow. It's just the way it is. So why shouldn't we all do this? You know?
They say that every time we move up in consciousness, the God consciousness, the supreme energy or being also learns and moves up in consciousness. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Totally. So at one point, we knew ourselves implicitly. When there was no, let's just say when there was no earth, there was no, no planets, no nothing. We were in the void or the nothingness, right? We knew ourselves. We didn't have to learn anything. It was what it was. There was nothing to have to, no lessons to have to learn. Then the God self said, well, I want to learn a different aspect of myself. In order to learn a different aspect of the self, creation had to happen, right? Creation happens.
Yeah.
Is the God self splits off. We have the illusion of separateness now, right? And now we're living tons of lives getting back to that one place where we were, which was that void. But now we're not in the void anymore. Now we have planets. Now we have all these creations that, galaxies and things that have been created. But that doesn't mean we can't get to that point of bliss again, that unconditional love. And that's what we're striving to get back to now. So when we come in body, right, we're born, we have this amnesia because now we have to figure out or go through the life remembering who we truly are. And we do that via lessons in the life, which is what's happening now. We're just doing it in a collective level now. So everybody's doing their own lessons, right? On their own. And then as a collective, we're doing lessons together.
And I love how you stated that about the consciousness grows. So the God consciousness grows. Like everything is always evolving, right? There's no like ultimate place. At least I don't think there is.
No, there's no one.
Yeah. So as we're all going through what we might call so if we're going through something we might think of as misery, no, it's an experience. So that's why we always talk about people that do the work that we do, that every experience is in somehow teaching you something, helping you to grow, or it wouldn't be there in the first place.
Right.
Because if we do actually choose everything, it's just that we're not choosing it consciously, but we have these things that are creating choice for us. That's why the more you expand your consciousness, become aware of those things, the more you can actually alter that as well and shift through it and grow from it in an easier manner.
And the less you will want to be in that victim consciousness and martyr consciousness and lack, the less you will want to be there, because you'll see, I don't need to be there anymore. It doesn't serve me anymore. See?
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah,
That's something that, the more people who leave that, talk about moving by leaps and bounds.
Wow.
For every person who leaves that space, this whole world is just going to get a huge jump in energy just for each one who leaves that space. It's going to be amazing.
I think that's why I love my work the most, because when I can be a part of helping someone with that, that to me is beyond anything, because you can actually see it working for them, but then you can actually see it. They come back and tell me about their family members and how it's helped them because they've changed, and it goes, further than that. And I already know it's going around the earth, but and around the world.
But
and
it's
all
fun
that.
to see it, though. It's fun to actually be a part of watching it.
Oh my God, it's like a kid in a candy store. You know what I mean? It really is. It really is. It's amazing. So what else can we talk about? Let's.
Well, we're doing pretty good, I would say. Well, first of all, let me share a couple things from the queue here. Donna is asking a question. She says, Rita, how do you approach your daily life of positivity without preaching?
Oh, preaching to people, you mean?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, to preaching to people, because I already know that when you preach to someone, they can't hear you.
Right.
They can't hear you. They just can't. They may not be ready to hear you. I am more of the energy of, let's just plant the seed. And let's plant it in a way where we think they might be able to hear it. Gently, with compassion, with love, and just plant the seed and then let it be, because it has to germinate in them.
Right.
Not everybody can get to that place immediately. And, and I know what Don is saying, because it's interesting. I'm experiencing this with my own family now, and I'm noticing that they're beginning to become more open to the ideas that I'm talking about, right? Because they feel, oh my God, we're in, craziness right now. And I keep bringing them back to the point of, that's what it looks like, but this is what it truly is. Let's look at it from a higher perspective. And now I could feel them, because I can't see them, but I could feel them starting to feel a little bit differently and more open about it. But the key is not to, the key is to, let me put it that way. The key is more to plant the seeds and then sit back and watch. Don't have any, if they can't get there, they can't get there. Say a prayer for them and let it go.
Yeah.
And trust they will eventually get there. It's just, you don't know when.
Right. And
I'll add to that, because I think your friend's also a healer, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we tend to want to give it all a lot of the time,
Right.
And it's just having that, maybe the preaching thing was the part about preaching and wanting everybody to wake up, but when they're not ready, they're not ready. But also the other side is that you have people coming to you who are ready. And I know for me, sometimes I want to give so much that, I have to really feel my way is, when is it overload? Like, when is it, no, they're not going to be able to hear a word anymore because I'm just giving them too much stuff at one time.
And intuitively, when you're speaking to somebody, if they're on overload or not.
Yeah. But you know what? It's like, I almost don't want to put the brakes on, but I'm like, okay, I have to stop. That's enough. I have to coach myself as to not to give too much. Right.
Right.
Well, actually, you guys are addressing something indirectly that I'd like to see us address directly, because Kat raised a question kind of along this line. She says, how can we stay grounded during the energy shift?
Well, let me tell you, and these are very simple things, and it may make you laugh, but I'm going to tell you.
That's okay. I'll laugh anyway.
Yeah. I have a ton of river rock in my backyard. When I don't feel grounded, I got pockets, because I whip like jeans or something. I go out and I take river rock and I put it inside my pockets. I put it inside my jacket. I hold them in my hands. Instantaneously, it grounds me. Okay.
Really?
Instantaneously. Now, I've had people go out for their kids because they're kids, they can't get their kids grounded. And they're like maybe 2-3 years old. They're having an issue helping them, stay grounded. I'd say go to Lowe's and get a sandbox, fill it with sand and put them in the sand. I said, because the sand is going to ground. They need to feel some part of the earth to ground. Okay. Crystals will do it. Stones will do it. Hug a tree. It'll do it.
That was Jeffrey's idea, by the way. Jeffrey says he likes to go out and hug a tree. So exactly what you said. Hug
a tree. Hold your animal. They're very connected to the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Anything having to do with that, although I don't know, Epsom salt baths seem to be tremendous for me. Okay. After I take one, I'm completely grounded. So sometimes water will do it for people. These are very, very simple things. So
do you have a favorite way, Linda? I mean, that you like to get grounded when you need to get grounded?
All of those, but yeah, water, eating will ground you. Even just the visual, you can create so many different visuals of seeing yourself going down into the center of the earth, like growing roots out of your feet, or having, and that, I'll have people come out of a session sometimes and they're like still out there. It's like, I can stand with them for 2 seconds and do like a visual for them. I can actually see them actually come back and be more grounded, just from a visual of grounding.
Yes, absolutely. And what you were saying about eating, there are certain foods like protein will ground you. Carbohydrates will tend to take you out of the body.
I didn't know that.
Many carbohydrates. It'll put you in a lull, like you want to sleep. So you want to balance. Yeah, you want to balance.
Louise and I have actually been cutting back severely on carbohydrates. And so we've really been noticing that effect, exactly what you're describing.
100%. Good lean protein, or fish or eggs, or because for those who don't like to eat meat or anything like that, beans, things like that, that will ground you. Now, negative things will also ground you, like smoking, like drinking. And I don't mean it negative in a bad way. I'm just saying the body doesn't tend to like it. Okay. So it's negative to the body. It doesn't want to be it doesn't want to smoke, and it doesn't, it doesn't want the smoke, and it doesn't want to drink, we'll say, right? So, but people will do it to ground. I know plenty of psychics and mediums who will eat shit food just to ground. Like chocolates and, I mean, like really crappy stuff, like devil dogs and things that aren't great for the body, right? Sugar, not great for the body in large amounts. Little amounts, fine, not large amounts. Drinking is another thing. Liquor, the body doesn't like it. But it will ground you. So be very careful with that kind of stuff. Nothing wrong with having a glass of wine or a drink every so often to help you just kind of chill out and, and feel good and ground you. But then we don't want to overdo it because the body just will reject it,
Which is what we felt. I mean, Louise has been experimenting with monk fruit sweetener just because she needed to get the sugar out of the life, and has made a huge difference just because now she can still, acknowledge and even feed her sweet tooth at times, but without knocking herself out to do it, without wiping out the energy and all that kind of stuff.
There's so many sweeteners now that you can use that are good for the body that will not interrupt the sugar in the body.
And with the grounding, barefoot on the grass, you just can't beat that.
Oh my God, that is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
If you're not worried about ticks, do it.
I love it.
So what I do is I get barefoot and I go on my river rocks, and I plant the rocks right under my feet. Yeah. And then I say to Spirit and I say to Mother Earth, ground me this instant. I need to come back into my body.
I love it. That's great.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm out when I'm working, and then I have to get back in, So I hope that helps.
I've been kind of waiting for the weather to warm up. We had a nice warm spell, and now we're back into a cold spell, and I'm waiting for it to warm up because one of my favorite ways to ground is literally to go out and take walks. And I've been missing it because it's just so cold. God. I didn't really want to do it, but it's going to start warming up this Sunday. I'm hardly
Sunday 65. Get out.
I can hardly wait. It's like it's coming.
Right?
It's going to be
good.
But
don't you feel like a kid, right? You think to yourself, oh my God, I can't wait till Sunday.
Absolutely. Yeah.
See, but that's the awesome energy of being childlike in that energy and how it affects the earth. It's, right now, I'm telling you, if you go outside, especially Sunday when it's nicer, just listen to the humming of the earth. She is like beyond ecstatic because there's not a lot of people on the road. There's not a lot of airplanes flying. So, where all the stuff that, the day-to-day things aren't happening anymore. She's getting a break, a much needed break. So she's very happy. You'll be able to hear her. I promise you.
Sounds cool. I like it.
And feel it. And feel
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Part of this whole energy shift
I know.
is. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Part of this whole energy shift conversation. We're clearly talking about not just an energy shift, but an energy shift upward. We're talking like it's almost like quantum leap type energy shift going on that you're describing.
Yeah.
When you have that kind of a shift, that's a big change.
Yes.
And it can be a hard change in some ways for people to handle. And I'm thinking particularly of those who are at the lower energy levels and who are really, really, really feeling it right now.
Yeah.
You guys were kind of talking about, Linda especially was talking about, giving love to people and helping support them energetically and so forth. And that's a really strong idea. Are there other ideas that we can do to kind of help people get through this better?
Oh my God. Even if you started out with going for a massage, that would be helpful. Even if you started out doing something different, like listening to a great podcast like this, or another one that would lift your vibration. Perfect. Simple things, listening to really good music that could lift your spirits. Any kind of modality. That's why all these modalities exist at this point. So, because every single person could connect to something, whether it's massage, whether it's hypnosis, chakra balancing, hands-on healing. It could be, what do you call it with the needles? Acupuncture, qigong. The list goes on and on and on. Pick something and see if you like it. How about painting? People who are artistic. start to paint or draw. People who are musically inclined, start to play an instrument. You know, these are all things that will ground you and yet bring you to a higher place.
Yeah.
Meditating for 5 minutes, even for those of us who say they don't have the time, have all the time right now.
No kidding. Yeah. Where's the excuse at this point, right? You're home all the
No
time.
excuse. So sit down and listen to a 5-minute meditation. They even have 2-minute meditations now that you can listen to.
I mean, I'm thinking about all the people who complained over the years. Yeah, but I'm so busy that I have to work all day. I have all this stuff going on. I don't have time for all this stuff.
Yeah, well,
guess what? You asked for it. Your rocket of desire went out there and you got answered. Here it is.
But if we didn't get this whole thing with the coronavirus, we'd still be going at that pace.
Oh, probably. Yeah.
So that's what people don't realize. Like, this really made a shift, is making a shift in everybody's consciousness, whether you know it or you don't. Now, you have to ask yourself, do I want to accept that change, or do I want to just keep it status quo? And everybody's going to have that opportunity to make that choice.
That's a big deal. That's a really big deal.
Yeah.
Well, kind of along these lines. First of all, you made reference to listening to podcasts to be uplifting, and you I appreciate you pointing out that this one is also one of those. So I want to take a moment to kind of remind people about subscribing to the channel and continuing to take episodes, because we do this 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. And every single one of them is available free to everyone who subscribes. So if you know how to subscribe to a podcast, great. You've already probably done it. If you're not really sure how, we've set up a webpage for you, loatoday.net. And at the top of the page, it tells you exactly how to do it, usually in about 1 or 2 clicks. Check us out on YouTube as well. Most of the time, the conversation is great. We're getting some wonderful live streams. Sometimes we're getting, like today, we got a little bit of robot activity, but I'm doing my best to kind of filter them out. But follow us on YouTube too, and subscribe and watch us. You actually get to see us as we're doing this, and enjoy the fact. And I don't want to spend a whole lot of energy on the robots, but I just got to mention, our energy is getting so big. Our effort here is becoming so powerful. We're attracting people. People are saying, "Oh, wow, there's a place where we can go and do our nasty stuff." So to me, that's like a sign we're actually gaining ground here. We're actually improving.
We are gaining ground completely. What's happening is all those who are not ready to move up in consciousness or shift are having a hard time, like you're saying, right? And their anger and their rage and all of that is coming out because they don't know how to handle the energy moving up. That's all that is. I want everybody to understand that if you're seeing that around, it's because they don't know how to handle what's happening at the moment. And so the best thing to do is send them light, love, and pray for them. Exactly. That's it.
That's true. So good stuff. What's I always like to leave us with one primary thought to take away that, well, it kind of summarizes what we talked about, but it's more about what can we take away for ourselves to be focusing on, because focus is what we have our biggest power in, right? Our ability to focus, our ability to choose, to select what we prefer, and to turn away. No, I don't want that thing. Yes, I want this thing over here, and so forth. What's our best way to stay in that place and really contribute to this shift that's going on? Because the shift, I mean, I'll tell you, you guys got me psyched. I was pretty psyched before, but you got me really psyched here. So you've done your job on that score. So let's take it to the next step. What's the homework, I guess, is what I'm saying.
You know what I'll do? We were talking about doing artwork and stuff. Well, I've been, playing, making these cubes with different. So this has like 6 different words on it. Let's see what word. And the purpose is you throw it up in the air, you catch it. Joy.
Ooh,
all right. So that's the word we'll leave you with. The word joy. See where you can find that, where you see that. Or if you start paying attention to all the different places where joy is showing up, a lot of times we're just not paying attention, but now we have this time, right, where we can actually maybe breathe a little and look around. So see where you can notice joy and how you can bring in more joy.
I love it.
And I'll let Rita go with answering the takeaway, maybe the best takeaway from like today's talk.
Yeah, there's a couple of things, and one is honor yourself, and look inside of you and see where you want to make the changes, because everything begins with you. The only way me and Linda and Walt does this work is because we've gone in and we've looked and we've seen the things that we wanted to keep and other things maybe we wanted to change and shift. So this is the time to do that. Reflect on you. Go in and see the things. Know that you have a choice to make a different choice if that's not the one you want. you know, and then above all, help someone you love. Help someone you don't love. How's that? Even better. How that
That's
can
a
shift your
challenge.
energy.
That's a real
the
challenge to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Connect to, you know, listen, there are many people out there who you may love or not love, or this or that, or you had in the past, and nobody says you got to be their best friend. But if you sent them love and you sent them good energy, that changes everything right now. So those are the three things I think, and I love the whole joy thing. I think that's fantastic to focus on that, and then focus on something you may want to shift, and then help someone in the process and watch it build, watch it shift.
It's a great thing to practice too, because the first time you do something like that, it can be a little bit of a challenge. Like, oh, geez, do I really want to help this person? I mean, they're so low energy. I don't know if I really want to do that. But when you try it,
Well,
and you first of all, you find, well, it didn't hurt any, and then you find occasionally you actually get to see a result that's a positive result coming out of it, and then it starts to say, well, shoot, this really is worthwhile. Maybe I really should be doing this more
that's
often.
right.
This is actually going to pay off.
That's right.
Yeah.
We need to get past the separateness. We
Yeah.
need to get past that separateness. We need to know that we are all one here. There's no difference between me, you, and the next person down the block.
It's a good thing. It's a very good thing. Well, thank you, ladies. I
Thank you.
love this episode. This is a good one. Thank you very
All
much for all the
right.
insights. Thank you, live streamers, too, and
Awesome.
especially thank you to our podcast listeners as well. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.